Price for the 4th overall pick, not going to be the lowest, potentially, as we woke up to the news from a NFL reporter who has been accurate in the past, Bo, Armando Salguera of Outkick the Coverage. This is from his article today. We're going to break it all down, basically saying Ossenfort has had conversations and made it known that it's in the best interest of the Cardinals to get 3 first-round picks in exchange for number 4 overall if he has to drop a significant amount in the first round. I think that would qualify with the Minnesota Vikings 4-11. He did add, Bo, to this, did Armando, that the Cardinals have talked to a multitude of teams during this process and that it's an open secret, that JJ McCarthy is going to go 4th overall. So again, reaffirming a lot of what we've discussed on this podcast. To get an answer from Ossenfort, it has to start with 3 ones, maybe a sweetener, hopefully a sweetener. JJ McCarthy will be the 4th overall pick, and then Ossenfort continues to talk to teams about this deal. I would say he's proactive right now as the Arizona Cardinals GM to maybe trade the 4th overall pick.
Well, he's motivated when the price is this high, right?
Right.
And something that drastic would have to happen for the price to go down on that, and for the Minnesota Vikings maybe to call the Cardinals bluff and hold out and save some of their picks, their future draft capital, and then maybe try to get up to 5, maybe get up to 7 and still get their guy JJ McCarthy. That would be risky, right?
Yeah.
That would kind of, it wouldn't make sense why they went up and got that extra first round pick with 11 and 23. But it's also echoing, Armando's report is what we've been pounding the table for. Like, that's the baseline. Like, it's not just 3 first round pick, but that's the starting negotiations right there. That's what's going to get Monti Ossenfort to pick up the phone. It's 11, it's 23, it's a future 2025 first round pick, and then probably some change there because you've got, like we were just talking about, you've got the Denver Broncos who could probably provide you 3 firsts, not in the same draft like Minnesota, but they could still probably match 3 firsts potentially within the league rules. And you got Vegas too. Everybody's speculating about Jaden Daniels. Potentially Vegas would have to get up the draft board and they'd have to be willing to spend that price. So they have enough people in the market to keep things spicy with the Minnesota Vikings and keep that asking price and that the baseline.
Well, and if you're questioning Armando and his report, I think it's important to remember it was, I want to say, like 4 weeks before the end of the finale in, 2022, Kingsbury's last year. He came out with a report that said the Cardinals are moving off of Cliff Kingsbury. So, I mean, he has been right as it relates to this team before. And again, this is not new information, but it's being solidified with each passing day. I think, we talked about it yesterday. Last week kind of felt like there was some momentum back in Marvin Harrison Jr.'s favor through no fault of his own that he's, brought up as a potential pass for the Cardinals at 4th overall. But you had the visit, you had good vibes, good mojo, right? It's like, okay, maybe the Vikings, they're really going to suck up to Michael Penix and they're going to take him at 11 or 23. You fast forward to now, and I'll double down on this. You've got people like Benjamin Albright that are saying Bo Nix not going in the first round. Michael Penix, right, he'll be surprised if he goes in the first round. Well, who does that leave? It leaves JJ McCarthy, and it leaves multiple teams. The Denver Broncos, we know emphatically, they have called the Cardinals about trading up for JJ McCarthy. We know that the Vegas Raiders want to trade up for a quarterback, so it's a supply and demand thing. There are 4 guys that teams have deemed, for the most part, not only first-round quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks. Like him or not, JJ McCarthy is a top 10 quarterback, and he's going to potentially cost Cardinal fans Marvin Harrison Jr. in the process. Like he will be public enemy number 1. Now, hopefully not these picks, because I have come to the conclusion, like I put this on Twitter today, in what world do the Vikings not offer 3 ones? I don't think like they can put all that shit out there and Kevin O'Connell can talk at the owners' meetings. You're not trading up 6 weeks before the draft, not then also say, yeah, you can have some for next year. They're 100% going to offer 3 ones. Then it's up to Ossenfort, like, is Marvin Harrison Jr. the trump card over 3 ones? We think he is. I would stick and pick. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to take the deal with Minnesota.
Right. It's just a difference in philosophy as far as team building. Like you
Right.
want to do it through, a big time playmaking wide receiver. And I think we've always maintained that Marvin Harrison Jr., as far as the approach for the Cardinals, is the exception to the rule. They always
Yeah.
want to kind of go from the trenches and build the offensive line and build the defensive line and the defensive front and really kind of invest in premium positions. And wide receivers absolutely in the conversation, but it's not up there with edge, it's not up there with tackle, it's certainly not there with quarterback and cornerback. So I think that he's always been the exception, and we're going to be tantalized by and have the ability to maximize the 4th overall pick, unlike any other team's been able to do probably in the history of the draft, because of how it's kind of stacked up and the dominoes look like they're going to fall. 1, 2, 3's quarterback. And then you've now found somebody worthy to be a 4th quarterback. And you've got, as Bragg's pointed out, a team that was motivated to get up the draft board last year for a quarterback and struck out. Are they going to let it happen to themselves again? It doesn't seem like they've set themselves up to kind of walk away without a signal caller. And there's no way that they're going to go. It would be a bigger reach for them to take a Penix at 11, maybe even 23 at this point. Like so many people, Middlecoff even said it on his podcast I was listening to, where he was trying to figure out, all this JJ McCarthy smoke, but the Penix Knicks stuff, like they are who they were a month ago. Like these pre-draft visits, these pro days, they're not going to move them so far up the draft board where they go from day 2 guys, surefire day 2 guys, all the way up to fringe top 10 guys.
I think that's 100% accurate. I think I've come around on something else. Nightingale Sunset. If we get this comment, Damon, Johnny Monty's going to do it on draft day. He wants the Vikings ass as hot as possible. I think we're going to get to a point where this is correct, and that he's going to say, everybody bring your best offer, and I'll make a trade when we're 4th overall. And they're going to trade the pick while on the clock, and it's going to gut us all.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think we're going to talk about the Cardinals' top 30 visits and why they continue to kind of lead a certain way. I wonder if there's a scenario growing. As you saw, as now there's significant momentum. Schefter and company saying there's no way these wide receivers exit the top 10. Well, here's what that tells me. The Cardinals, with their workouts, Xavier Worthy and all these, subpar prospects compared to the big 3, you're going from 4 to 11 to be prepared to stay at 11. I think we have to come to grips with that. You trade down to 11 and you see who else they're working out. They're saying, maybe we just take Xavier Worthy later. Maybe we just take Brendan Rice later. Maybe we have a backup plan, because I love the idea of trading down if they're dead set on it, then trading back up for Marvin or Malik or Rome. That cannot be expected. I think they're going to bleed this out to the draft now. They're going to trade while on the clock, and then they do what you can, but nothing's assured, Bo. That's where I'm kind of at this moment.
It's tough. That is going to be especially live at the draft party, Gila River Resort Casino, Wild Horse Bet. Yeah, I mean, that would just suck all the air out of the room. It wouldn't ruin our party. I mean, because we'd be watching 3 players come off the board day 1. But as people, like, you take the pulse of the fan base, they want Marvin Harrison Jr. and to kind of tease them all the way up until the bitter end. I mean, this isn't Will Anderson Jr. And that was a bit of a polarizing topic last year. Like, people wanted Will Anderson Jr. They wanted him to just stick and pick a 3 and take the best player available. But, we see kind of what comes from a trade down like that. What trading down when what the trade was last year from 3 to 11, and then for people to say, well, he did it last year. It was a bit unprecedented what Monti was able to do to get back up the draft board to 6. You have to have, like, there's so many things that have to go right, and you have to find a willing participant.
Right.
And you look at this top 10 and you look at the players that are going to be available, and it's the thing that we're struggling with Marvin Harrison Jr. and going down from 4 to 11 on not only the player that you're passing at 4, but you're also passing at beyond that in the picks in between, the neighbors, the Adunzes, the Alts. And teams are going to have a tough time unless they're blown away with an offer. But Monty's going to have the ability to do that. Is he willing to pay that price? I don't think so. Like, I think he wants to accumulate the draft capital to really utilize it and maximize it, like he's doing with the 4th overall pick.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about the package. It's not about the future packages, the future trade ups, the move backs. It's about the headline, fair or not, is going to be the Cardinals traded out of 4 and they got 3 first-round picks plus. And that's the story of this draft. And then they're going to get players and they're going to move around probably later on. But it's going to be, who are these players? What's the future capital? How have you set yourself up? Because you have passed on the blue chippers in this draft. And that makes me and Cardinal fans sick to our stomachs. Certainly our producer extraordinaire, Damon Dog. But he
can't even talk right now. He doesn't even want to look at us right now.
He's very emotional.
He's turned his head from
I do just kind of have my head down over here. I just wanted to say that, I mean, every year there's smoke around this time of the year that, doesn't necessarily come true. Like, I'm not taking all of this with like, it's for sure happening. It definitely could not.
Yeah. Like I said, like you're my young son.
Don't do that to me.
I'm your dad.
You don't
I have responsibilities. I pay bills. I live in the real world. Like I want to tell you that you can do anything you want.
Don't be disrespectful, bro. I know how football works. I've watched a lot of football. I've watched a lot of draft seasons play out. It doesn't always work out hearing, the way that you think it is going to on draft day, leading up to draft day, at least.
It also could be why the deal hasn't gone down. Like it could be a mix between, Minnesota not wanting to give in to the asking price and believing that maybe they could hold out to get to
I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I can't. You're never going to condition me. I don't think the Vikings have handled this well. I don't think they're very smart when it comes to this. I think this was listen, what we just talked about with Greg Braggs Jr. Caleb Williams is a Bear. Jordan Love's a franchise quarterback. Jared Goff is in the NFC Championship game. There's significant heat on them to get a guy. Yeah. They didn't want to pay Kirk Cousins off a torn ACL or exploded Achilles. It's like, okay, now we have to make something happen. You have to. And maybe in the initial package they were putting together was meant for New England. And then, but you know what? If you didn't have clarity that you could get the deal done in a short period of time before New England could talk themselves into Drake May or JJ 3rd overall, that's on you. You screwed this up. So you got to clean up your mess now. Get out the dustbuster, start cleaning this mess up. The mess gets cleaned up with them saying, here you go. Here's my wallet, Monti Ossenfort. Take what you want. Get the credit cards, get the cash out, some walking around money. But there is no scenario that the Minnesota Vikings don't offer 3-1s. I will lose my shit if I hear after the fact that the Minnesota Vikings, after trading up to have 2-1s this year, balked at a 2025 1. When you have Sam Darnold under contract, it doesn't happen in the NFL. They're going to offer 3 first-round picks.